Time for the papers this morning with broadcaster Claire Muldoon and political editor of HuffPost UK, Kevin Schofield. Is that the Scottish special today?
It is, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Square sliced sausage and a tatty scone.
Oh, there you go.
Which one's which?
Oh, trouble. Kevin, dig yourself out of the hole by telling us about Putin.
Yeah, this is a bizarre story in the Times. So, they've previously reported about this suspected Russian agent who's from Afghanistan, who worked at the Foreign Office, met David Cameron, Prince William, and as well as King Charles.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Now it turns out that he was obviously stripped of his British citizenship because of these spying allegations. But he was flown to the UK as part of the evacuation of Kabul. So he lost his citizenship in 2019. And then in 2021, when Kabul was falling to the Taliban, he was on a flight back to Britain, and an evacuation flight. Now, to be fair, he was arrested as soon as he got back, but it was the fact that he managed, despite being accused of spying for the Russians, he was allowed to get on a plane back to the UK.
Do you think it's a case of, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and he must have made some good contacts?
Well, he was obviously very good at...
Well, if it's a spy, he's got dodgy paperwork,
but it's just remarkable. I mean, clearly it was very chaotic, the evacuation of Kabul and all of that. But just the idea that he somehow managed to get to the UK despite facing these allegations and not even being a British citizen is pretty remarkable.
So why are they saying he's an alleged Russian spy?
Well, because this is, I don't think it's been proven.
Have they named him?
No, he's known as C2.
Really?
Son of James Bond.
C-3PO,
or Star Wars,
And he's appealing against the decision to strip him of his citizenship.
Let's spend lots of money on his legal rights.
Yeah, so that's how all this has come out. It's an incredible story.
Let's go north of the border.
Right,
Claire.
let's do this.
Michael Matheson, the Scottish Health Secretary, as was.
Yep, as was.
Is that to go eventually?
Not before time, I'd say, after throwing his children under the bus.
He did, yeah.
He really did.
He's the one who came back from holiday...
in Morocco.
With an £11,000... Data bill for what he now says his kids were watching football on their iPad.
I mean, come on, I know the Old Firm game is on New Year's Day when they were away, and allegedly they are Celtic supporters, but Celtic aren't worth £11,000 to watch at the moment, and to be fair, nor are Rangers. But anyway, this is just absolutely disgusting, and this is on the back of a new report that we're going to touch in the next hour, actually, about the minimum unit pricing for alcohol that the SNP are convinced is the way to help Scots abolish their proclivity to drink, and it's not working. But he should have been out to defend this, but he resigned the day before it was launched. This is not a stable government up there. It really isn't. A stable, devolved government, I have to say. It is absolutely incompetent at so many levels. This is not the tip of the iceberg.
This wouldn't have been a resigning matter, though.
No.
If he'd said...
If he just said, whoops, I'm sorry, I'll pay it back.
I'm going to have to pay it back.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of money, but I'm going to pay it back.
The cover-up that gets him, It's the fact that he put in... he claimed the 11 grand, so the taxpayer initially paid it. That's how it all came out. Now, he has paid the £11,000 himself. However, by resigning as a minister, he gets 12 grand as a payoff.
No. And he's still an MSP.
Which means he's up £1,000 on the deal.
Do you know what? He was an occupational therapist by trade, and I wish he'd go back to that profession, because clearly all he's fit to do is measure the size of a seat and see if it was going to hurt your back. Come on.
It's such beggars belief.
It does, doesn't it?
And it's also the fact that it's causing a question Hamza Yousaf's judgment, because he stood by him. Everyone knew that he was going to end up having to resign.
It's a cabal, Kevin, you know that.
He stood by him, and now he's had to...
Do you think the whole SNP sort of image has now completely crumbled?
Well, I hope it has. It has to have had.
Well, you say that,
We've both got parents up there. My sister still lives there with her husband and children, and I'm sick and tired of being the only one down here that's absolutely lamenting the state of Scottish politics.
But they're still polling up in the mid-30s. I mean, they're not as popular as they were, but it's not like they've gone through the floor.
No, their image perception is still very, very good.
I don't understand that. I really don't understand that.
Well, maybe that's what they're best at.
If you support Scottish independence, the chances are you're going to vote SNP.
But Kevin, people are surely they're not that silly to actually believe what they're spouting in terms of independence. Surely they realise it just cannot happen, and it won't happen because, one, fiscally it's not advantageous for either Scotland or the Scottish people to have independence, but secondly, moreover, it just will not work.
All right, but if you live in Scotland and you might have previously voted SNP, who are you going to vote for?
Well, they'll vote Labour.
It has to be Labour.
They'll vote Labour to get rid of the Tories. I think at the moment the views in general Scottish voters are the most important thing at the next general election is to get rid of the Conservative government, and the way of doing that
is to vote Labour.
Now the SNP are trying to convince them, no, the Tories are going to lose anyway, so stick with SNP. But I don't think that. I think they're going to lose a lot of seats.
The only way I think that the Conservatives would have got any gain in terms of votes up in Scotland is if Ruth Davidson was still ahead of the Scottish Conservatives.
She was very popular.
She's fantastic.
Although
she's a brilliant politician.
Weirdly,
but Douglas Ross, he's a referee in a...
The Tories might gain seats in Scotland. Watch this space. The Tories might actually go up in Scotland.
But not enough.
No,
not enough to save them down here.
And don't forget, the SNP are only there because of their allegiance and their concubine, for want of a better word, with the Greens as well. So they're in bed with the Greens. So that's the reason they were able to take control of Bute House and indeed Scottish devolved matters.
Let's move on to the NHS waiting lists, because we have spoken so much about, particularly at the moment, prostate cancer, for instance, and the fact that the King has made his condition be known. And then we got inundated with people getting in touch saying, that's all very well, raise awareness, but I can't get an appointment about this for a year.
Yeah.
So what's happening with NHS waiting lists?
So the overall waiting list has come down very slightly in the last month by 6,000 to 7.6 million. However, it's still 400,000 higher than when Rishi Sunak at the start of last year said he was going to bring it down. So he's admitted that he's failed on that. But I think what's even more worrying is this: is the people waiting for 18 months or more, it's a long time, is up by 86%. There were 13,164 people waiting longer than a year and a half for an appointment, which is almost double the low point, which was 7,000 last July. So that's going in the wrong direction. And this is one of the key, as I say, one of the key pledges. And this is the thing, with an election coming up, this is the type of thing that people...
Oh, it will be.
Really
I have no idea how you fix this, because what a lot of people say, and a lot of medical experts and NHS experts say, is actually throwing money at it is not the solution anymore.
Not the solution.
No, well, that is the thing. But, you know, try and... I mean, maybe a Labour government... I think Labour gets more of the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the NHS than the Conservatives do. Maybe a Labour government might...
Well, Tony Blair did, didn't he? He brought down waiting lists.
Yeah, so they can reform... What it needs is reform. It's usually it's not just more money, more
actually,
money.
which Labour is better placed to do.
Well, no, I'm not convinced Labour can do it, because as far as I'm concerned, the NHS are not dealing with suitable health issues. IVF should be taken off NHS. Plastic surgery for vanity should be taken off the NHS. There's loads of things the NHS are catering to, are pandering to, that they really ought not to. It's the same with accident and emergency wings of hospitals. You walk in there, it's silent. There is hardly any accidents and there's hardly any emergencies. People are using the service as a service, as a GP service almost, you know, so we have to stop. The other thing I would scrap is the centralisation of appointments, of doing that through a system. I've had so many clinics cancelled because of whatever reason, and then the system doesn't pick up that was a follow-up appointment or it was a first appointment, and then you're cancelled, and then you're not cancelled, and then you don't turn up, and then you get a did not attend. It's just, all of that is time and effort and money as well. And they say do it electronically, we don't need to send out the letters, it'll save in postage and letters. It's wrong.
You get the letters anyway, I normally get them twice.
Exactly.
Right, on that note, we've got to leave it. We'll see you both a little bit later. Kevin and Claire, thank you. Here's your weather.